I sent you a bunch of NBA stuff because this is a weird inflection point of the season right now with awards, with odds, with conference stuff. And I was going through it this morning and I was really surprised by some of the odds for things. The first thing was the title odds, where Boston and OKC are right where you would think. Boston's plus 200, OKC's plus 250. The fact that the Knicks had better title odds than Cleveland, I was kind of shocked by. The Knicks are 10-1, Cleveland's 11-1. And then after that, it's Denver 15-1, Dallas 17-1. That's not, they have when these futures, there's legacy stuff from the start of the season. They can't like jack them around too much. And then we'll go through some of the other ones later. But I was really surprised Cleveland isn't being treated more favorably by the odds community. What else do people need to see from this team? Because right now they're 29-4. Their over-under on FanDuel for wins for the season is 61.5. I don't know. They're probably going to have home court advantage round 1, round 2, round 3. What don't people trust? What is your opinion on this?
Their performance in the playoffs. I mean, this is exactly why the Knicks are ahead of them. We watched these two teams, slightly different composition, but Cleveland, largely the same team as last year, perform in the most recent playoffs, and Cleveland didn't knock anybody's socks off, and the Knicks were unbelievable. They were, an injury issue away from being in the Eastern Conference Finals. It felt like the Knicks.
Slightly different Knicks team. I would argue slightly different Cavs team because they've got a totally different version of Garland this year now that he's healthy. Mobley went up a level. New coach who I think has made a real difference for them.
That's the key.
And over again, they just answer these tests. I don't know if you saw any of the Warriors game the other night, but they just, they're just slaughtering teams. They're not. It's very similar to what was happening with the Celtics last year. And they're plus 11. I think they're plus like 11-3 rating. They're killing teams. They're up by 20 in a lot of these games. And it was like last year where people didn't trust it with the Celtics for a while. And then eventually they trusted it. Maybe I trusted too much with them, but I really believe, I think they have as good of a chance as anybody. And I don't understand the odds.
Well, part of the thing with Cleveland, I think they're the only team in the NBA that is undefeated against teams that are 500 or worse, which is exactly what you want, right? That's a hallmark benchmark kind of level of achievement. When you play
in regular
teams,
season,
they're worse than you in the regular season, you're supposed to beat their ass. And that's how you build up a great regular season record. And that's how you put yourself in a driver's seat in terms of a home court advantage throughout the playoffs. I just think it's fair where these odds are, because when do we get to see some of the true sort of leverage moments this team put under stress and duress? Now, the thing that could, if you wanted to talk yourself into the value proposition, Kenny Atkinson has all the chops. He has the pedigree with the Warriors being, along for that ride.
Yeah.
He knows exactly how a good organization. He took, the Nets and was really competitive with the Nets before he fell out of favor. Yeah. But I mean, that team overachieved that Nets team.
They did.
And so, we in our analysis of how this Cavaliers season might go when we were together in October, thought that he, more than any other element to that team, could be a real elevating force. And that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah. And we trusted the Garland comeback year. We trusted the stability with Mitchell. And the big X factor was, what's Mobley got for us this year?
Right.
Mobley went up a level and he's hitting threes better. And I think he should be in the All-Star team. Even if you look at their last 20 games, their net rating's 11.9 heading into Thursday night and the weekend. And the Cleveland, OKC, Boston, the Knicks, and the Grizzlies are all 9 and above in net rating the last 20 games. And Memphis is the one. I could see more confusion about Memphis, whether what's real, what's not real with them, just because it doesn't, Morant, I want to see if can you just play for a solid month and a half and just be out there every day. They've had some good schedule luck so far. We'll see if that exists. But right now they're building such a big nest egg Like they're 23-11 right now.
Yeah.
Their over-under is 51.5 on FanDuel, which 51.5, that means you have to go 52-30. So to me, that's a little bit of a lack of a trust, I think, from the betting community, at least with them. There's some weird ones though, like the Knicks being 10-1 makes sense to me. That seems like the right range for them, right? Denver is 15-1. I think just because of the legacy of what people bet before the season. Same for Dallas, 17-1. But if you go a little further and you dig in, like Memphis is 27-1. Houston's 44-1. Memphis and Houston are going to probably be top 4 seeds. So when you just look at it like that, you're like, how do those people have way worse odds than Denver, a team that just seems like a mess night to night, even though Jokic is as great as he's been. What do you think of the Clippers at 75-1 to win the title?
Nah.
Like win the title, just a complete didn't even make you stop for a second.
No,
I'm not saying they're going to win the title. It just seemed like those odds seem really high to me.
The one that caught my attention, and I mean, all due respect to the Clippers, great job by them. And I know this is going to run contrary to some action that we got down last week. Minnesota at 30-1. That we're finally at a number for them where it's like, wait a minute. I mean, that team was in the Western Conference Finals last year.
Yeah.
And they have a super duper star on their team. This first, stretch of games, the first third of the season for them, 17-15 through 32 games, not up to the level that we might have anticipated in view,
to say the least.
Well, we thought there would be some depth that was added. What the Karl Anthony Towns piece, we were saying, well, maybe it won't really affect the defense that much, and on what they get in terms of offensive versatility.
Yeah, maybe their shooting won't go down, but
right.
Yeah, it did affect them all over the place.
In every which way. Having said all of that, I mean, 30-1. They still have Anthony Edwards. They still have
the only way that makes sense to me is if you're assuming that there's a Randall trade out there for them, that they can turn him into something else. Because the thing that's changed the last couple of weeks is DiVincenzo finally got going.
Yeah,
and that's added all the stuff we thought he was going to add before that trade. And The Athletic, John Krasinski wrote a really good piece about it. Just like, we always forget the human element sometimes with these NBA trades, and Dante was just fucking bummed out the first month and a half of the season. Like, he wanted to be on the Knicks. He had a great run with him. It was the best professional run of his career. Now he's on this weird Minnesota team, and he just didn't play well, and he didn't look like he was happy. Reinvested himself, and now he's added a little something. I'll be interested to see with Dillingham what they get out of him too. If he's just, him and Reed Shepherd are kind of the two X factors of these rookies on good teams that don't really play.
Right.
And,
good call.
And Reed Shepherd hasn't been good either. I think Dillingham has been good in spots, but I'm just wondering what happens with those guys down the stretch. So the Rockets are another one at 44-1 that just like, if you're just factoring in a trade and you can they turn Van Vliet or Jalen Green into a much better version of those guys, then maybe those odds go up. But I don't sense the appetite from them this year making a major move. So we'll see. And then Orlando at 43-1 is the only other one, just because they'll have their guys back at some point. The infrastructure they have with the defense and the coaching and the reps that they've been getting for dudes like Da Silva, and Anthony Black and people like that.
Sure.
So, to me, the best odds are Cleveland, 11-1.
I'll go along with that. I don't have any argument with that.
I think they're favored in the first two rounds. It's probably going to be, I don't know, that whoever it is in round 3, and it might not be my team. But Game 7 will be in Cleveland. That's not nothing. So a couple over-unders really quick. Celtics, 59.5 just seems way too high. They're 24-9. That 59.5 basically is 23 losses. That's 14 more the rest of the way. They can't seem to get anybody healthy. I also don't really think they care about the 1 seed. Golden State is still 45.5, and they're 16-16 heading into tonight. What world are they winning 46 games unless there's a major trade coming that I can't anticipate?
It's that there is some possibility, I guess, that the market thinks that there's a trade for them yet to
It's going to
come.
be really hard.
It is
And I don't
hard
know
under for me.
Yeah, that's a hard under for me.
I
Clippers.
mean, go ahead.
Well, just Clippers 46.5. That would make me blink just because of the injury potential. The miles they're putting on Harden. I don't know what they're getting from Kawhi when he comes back, but the Golden State one, I don't see that. We're already in on Indy 43.5. We did the over, even though they're 16-18. They're minus 250 to make the playoffs. Minnesota, you mentioned. They're minus 340 to make the playoffs right now, even though they're 17-15. So I think people are agreeing with the way you saw big picture what's happening with them. But their over-under is 47.5 now, which seems too high to me.
It's high. That's high. That's a tough stretch.
Yeah, that means they'd have to go 31 and 19 rest of the way, something like that. 31 and 18. I don't see it. OKC 62.5 is the over-under now. They're 27-5. I think they get it. I would still be bullish on that. Wouldn't you?
Sure, it's fine.
I feel like it's shocking every time they lose. They're just so deep.
We're already fully subscribed, fully allocated on every OKC. But if you wanted to just see for fun, another little bit to get down, will they get to 63 wins? It feels totally plausible. 63-19, sure.
It feels mid-60s to me, unless there's another injury. Plus, they haven't even gotten Chet back. So here are the two hardest for me. Phoenix was 45.5 right now. They're minus 134 to make the playoffs. So people are putting a lot of faith into something turning around here. They're 15-17. I just, even their last 20 games, they're 6-14. They're minus 3.1 net rating. We really need this. This would be the first season boost that we've lost. We had our boost this year was Cleveland and Phoenix to win 45 plus, OKC to win 55 plus. And that's what we boosted on FanDuel. We're going nuts for it. I don't know if Phoenix gets to 45 wins. Do you see it? What's missing with them other than they have the worst centers in the league?
Yeah, we really, I think, believed that the coaching change and what they'd be able to do from the perimeter, especially that they would change what they had. What their single biggest problem was a math problem, which was they didn't get up enough threes and they didn't make enough threes. And we say, okay, Bud is going to come and change that, and
they're going to be this high scoring, super fun, entertaining team that just is winning 120 to 115.
And they're not that.
No.
And and the problem is, it's kind of the same problem as last year when they were a great underplay. Durant can't really play night to night, and it really doesn't make sense for him to play night to night. And they just rotate 2 out of the 3 guys.
Yeah.
And, Beal doesn't move the needle. He doesn't help them win basketball games.
He's actually been putting up stats lately, and it doesn't
perfectly
seem to...
fine. Right. Exactly. They're 3-7 over the last 10. And he's in all of those games. So,
what the big picture front office mistake they made was they tried to put together this big 3 model, which had been so successful in the late 2000s and the 2010s because the league wasn't as deep. Now the league is deep.
Yeah.
And you need depth. You need the ability to weather an injury for 10 games. You need random guys stepping up night to night. And I just don't know if that big 3 model works. Great, cool. You have 3 really good players. It doesn't matter. You're competing against other teams that have 7, 8, 9 players that have real depth. That was something the Clippers figured out when they miraculously didn't offer Paul George that 4th year and landed all these other dudes. And now they have depth and they have the ability to, weather Kawhi not playing for 2.5 months because they have enough guys. So, that's a hard under for me. And I think we're going to lose our bet. And I'm bummed because that was one of my favorite streaks that we had going. The other one, San Antonio is 39.5. And that's up 4 wins from where we were at the start of the season. They're 17-16. They're plus 360 to make the playoffs. And what we've seen from Wemby, Goldsberry and I talked about it a little on Tuesday. He's basically 29-12 every night now with 4 blocks, whatever it is, and is turning into this crunch time dude. And they have trades to make potentially if they want. They want to add another guy. I kind of like the plus 360 for the playoffs for them as a flyer.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I just like the odds.
Let's look at this real quick. So where they're sitting right now is they're in the 9 hole.
Yeah.
And so let's see who they have to climb over.
So the Lakers would have to drop, which I think, really think I could see that happening.
That's not crazy talk.
And then and that would be the team. They'd have to jump the Lakers, basically. And then you'd have to assume Phoenix, Sacramento, Golden State, those teams, they have to beat those teams as well. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Plus 360, though.
I just think a 4-to-1 chance of it happening basically seems reasonable to me, considering they have a guy who is now like a top 7 or 8 guy.
I like this. Let's fire on it. Let's take a break in this podcast so I can get this down.
A couple other ones. So MVP is basically a 2-horse race. SGA minus 105, Jokic plus 115. And I think if OKC is in the mid 60s for wins and SGA is doing the stuff he's been doing all year and Denver is like a 7 seed, 45 win team, SGA is going to win. I think the way it's going now, I think SGA wins. And I was surprised the odds were even. Where'd you stand on that?
Well, I totally agree with the way that you're approaching this. And I also want to get down on this, a sizable number, because I don't see Oklahoma City backing up. I'll knock on wood. I mean, it would have to be some kind of crazy injury situation. I mean, wait till Chet comes back, right? Wait till they really have their whole team. The reason that I think it's especially compelling with SGA is because it addresses the thing that you and I talked about over the last couple of weeks, which is this transition moment for the league. The league really needs to start marketing the new class of stars that it has, and SGA should be a face of the league. He should be one of those guys. People need to see him. There needs to be some marketing around his
He's winning the All-Star vote
here
right now, which I thought was a good sign.
That's good. That's a good sign. Exactly right.
So even odds, and I actually think he should be favored by more. And if I was going to suggest anyone else, look, I don't think he's going to win. But Wemby at 110 to 1 on FanDuel.
No.
Listen, 110 to 1. By the way, he has the 5th best odds on FanDuel right now because it's SGA and Jokic. Giannis is plus 950. Tatum's 22 to 1. And Wemby's 110 to 1.
You want to put $10 on it?
I'm not allowed to bet on the MVP. I'm pointing out value.
I'll put $10 on it just to they have to win 50 some games. They have to win.
I'm just trying to think of the last time the number 5 guy out of MVP odds was over 100 to 1.
Fair enough.
Because that's how dominant SGA and Jokic has been. But we know at the league, SGA, he could get a dumb injury for 4 weeks. Jokic, Denver could go slide backwards. Who knows? Tatum 22 to 1 would be more fun if Boston was playing better. And we're going to find out with Boston on this road trip there. On Rookie of the Year is a catastrophe. Zach Edey is our favorite at plus 120. Missy on New Orleans is second now. And by the way, plays crunch time for them, but it's a terrible team. Castle's 7 to 1. Wells is 10 to 1. And Risa Shea is 25 to 1, who would probably still be my pick because he's starting to play more and more from them just for the odds. But I don't know who's going to win that.
Did you see Tom Haberstrow's breakdown just in the last 24, 48 hours of Edey? It's very good. There's a bunch of clips, and with the numbers, the plus minus numbers for Edey have been outstanding. And there's a lot of good evidence about him, how active he is, and how he's very quietly really propelling that team. And if Memphis, over this stretch of jobbing week to week, if they're sort of able to kind of tread water for a bit, I think in Edey's minutes are still a relevant part of it. I think that's a pretty good bet at this stage. The plus 120, it's kind of got my attention, to be honest with you.
Castle 7 to 1, I like too. He had a little bit of a wall the last couple of weeks, but I still like him long term. But yeah, Edey, everything we thought before the draft of if he goes here, he's this really interesting piece in a 9-man rotation that you can, and he's been everything. The glass half full side of the Zach Edey argument.
Yes,
he's hit all of it. Defensive Player of the Year, Wemby's minus 270. For me, it's like if he's below minus 500 on that, just grab it.
Go ahead and lay it.
Most improved, the 2 guys that jumped out were Jalen Johnson, 3 to 1, is the favorite, but Dyson Daniels at 10 to 1, who is probably the best perimeter defensive player we have. I was surprised 10 to 1 was as high as it was. And then coach of the year, Kenny Atkins's favorite, -180. Mosley at +950 jumped out to me because the fact that that team is 5-6 games over 500 with all the injuries they've had is crazy to me. So anyway, that is my out of all those bets we just talked about, what was your favorite?
The Oklahoma City over 62.5 wins.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. It's like we already have more than enough on them. Yeah. Anyway, that is our little NBA check-in. All right.